It is Monday, March 17th, 2025. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, intern Sawyer along for the ride as well. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. If you're going to go out there and party it up, be careful, have some fun. Trevor Plouffe has been partying it up all weekend on the ski slopes. Are you going to get it one more run in before you head home?
I'm going to try. Also, happy belated to my beautiful wife, Olivia. Her birthday was yesterday on the 16th, so we had some fun, and yeah, we'll see if I can get out today. I got a lot of work. Okay, baseball season is here, Chris. Dodgers Cubs less than 24 hours. We will be live streaming that game on JM Baseball. Jake, I believe Jimmy's in on it. I'm sure Joe's is as well. If you want and you're up for that game, why don't you watch it with our friends tomorrow? They're always a fun time.
I love it. While you're over at JM Baseball, make sure you subscribe. When you watch this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up that you like it. It helps us out. We're getting ready to go back to 5 days a week. We want to be your number one destination for daily takes on the baseball world. You know, we're between 35 and 40 minutes, easily digestible. We have fun. Hopefully we know what we're talking about. Most likely no, but let's do it. Let's have a good time. We're going to start off with a little tip of the cap to our friends, the Savannah Bananas. They packed the house at Raymond James Stadium, the football home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 65,000 strong to do their thing in a nice, neat 2-hour format. 65,000 people to check out the Bananas. That's pretty good stuff, Plouffe.
No, I love it. And, you know, I think I was one of the doubters back in the day about the Savannah Bananas. I just like Major League Baseball. That's like really the only baseball I like. I don't even really watch the Little League World Series, but they have proved me wrong because they've continued to go, and I've seen firsthand like the influence they've had on the youth of this sport. Like the kids love the Bananas. They know the rules. And if they come into your town, like the kids want to go see it, as proof by 60,000. And there's a lot of people that play baseball, a lot of youth that plays baseball, and they've capitalized on that market big time.
Yeah, no, they do a great job. I mean, they have become the Harlem Globetrotters of this sport. A little different. The Harlem Globetrotters really became this entity that traveled around the world and made basketball this incredible sport, but also did so much good in so many communities. That's probably the next step for the Bananas at some point. And I don't know exactly what they're doing in each of these communities, so I don't want to say that they're not doing anything. But in terms of they're providing the fun, and that is the first step to get people to buy in. I love it. All the dances, all the trick plays, everything else. It's fun to watch. And, our guy, Mr. Stone, pitches against them. So he says it's an incredible experience. So 2 thumbs up to those guys. As for Major League Baseball, you mentioned the Cubs and Dodgers will get it going Tuesday morning. You can catch that game on your local Fox affiliate. But let's give a salute to what happened over the weekend. Both teams played exhibition games, and the Hanshin Tigers shut out both of those squads. 18 scoreless innings on just 6 hits. Hey, man. I don't care whether that's exhibition ball or the real thing or whatever. That's pretty impressive, dude.
Oh, there's good baseball over in Japan. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
This is very impressive.
How do you think if we took the best team from over there and let's say we put the 5 guys that are playing right now for the Cubs and Dodgers at the Major League level over on the best team there? I wonder how the team would do over here.
I mean, you're putting some pretty dang good players on that team. Yeah. That changes everything. I think if you brought the best MPB team over to the States, where would they finish? That's actually a very interesting conversation. I'd have to look and see the pitching depth and all that. They'd compete for sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. But I think what I've enjoyed the most is just seeing the interaction between the Japanese ball players, the American teams. We saw Justin Turner pick a couple of kids out of the crowd that were wearing his famous orange beard. I love that. I mean, it just seems like everything you hear out of there has been fun.
I think, I don't know if we're going to play the sound of Dansby or not, but I think that is what's the coolest thing to me is just listening to him talk about that. The level of respect that is partaken in that culture is what I think a lot of guys love. I mean, the crowd is into it. They have great chants. Excuse me, one sec. Like, I love America more than anybody, but you're not always getting the form of respect that you get over in Japan. I think when you go over there, the guys that have done it, that's what they come back saying. It's they can't believe like how respectful everybody is.
Yeah. No. In fact, you know what? Let's let Dansby tell it to us if you don't mind.
Amazing. The creativity for the chants, the consistency, the respect for the game and the appreciation for the game. It's a really, really cool atmosphere. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
By the way, what was that Dansby play where there was the video? We're seeing it.
I don't understand
like,
that either. It looks like AI, but
right.
they said it wasn't.
I mean,
But
if
it
that's
is.
not, yeah, if that's not AI, then why the heck are we not getting that in Major League games? Because that stuff is incredible.
Someone needs to explain to us what was going on there. I know there's
Yeah.
some cameras out there, like they can capture all the motion, and maybe it gets put into some generator. But nice play, Dansby, by the way.
One other thing, of course, is the fact that Shohei Ohtani is back home. And it's been fun to watch his Dodgers teammates' reaction in terms of what it's like walking around the city, and every 3 feet, there's Shohei's face promoting some sort of product. In part because he's an amazing baseball player, which we found out yet again in an at bat at the Tokyo Dome.
Ohtani, right field. Ohtani with a titanic swing in Tokyo.
Fun to see and hear, no doubt about it. Now, Matthew Moreno, he is the editor of Dodger Blue. He quoted Andrew Friedman, team president, saying that Ohtani is not only the most talented player he's ever seen, he said, I think in some weird way, he is underrated and perhaps even underappreciated. Do you agree?
It's a difficult one. I mean, obviously, this is like very opinion based. I think Ohtani is getting his flowers. I think everybody really appreciates him. Like today. Hey, if you play Fortnite, his Fortnite skin comes out today. Like that's reserved for like only a few people have had Fortnite skins as far as athletes. It's like Messi, LeBron, and Shohei, I believe. Like he's entered that realm of player. So in that regard, I think he is appreciated. But I'm going to say something here, and I hope it doesn't come off like as condescending. I'm not trying to do that. If you didn't play like pro baseball, Major League Baseball, and if you haven't seen how hard it is to make it as just a pitcher or a hitter, and see so many guys who you think are incredible players fail and not make it. And then you see when they do make it to the big leagues, like they don't have the same success. It's a difficult game. And for him to be elite at not only hitting, but pitching as well, that's why I'm always just so about him. And I say he's the best to ever do it. I don't think there's any debate about it in my mind, because and we talk about it all the time, but like really understanding how difficult it is, I think is probably hard for some people to really grasp how difficult it is to do what he's doing right now, Chris.
I can't say that he's underrated, okay? Because in every poll, whether it's a player's poll or a media poll or by the MVP voting, he is unquestionably the number one player. So you can't be rated any higher. So he's not underrated. Now, in particular, because if you look at his history, do you know how many players have more MVPs than Shohei Ohtani? History of the sport.
I'm going to go 2.
1. It is Barry Bonds. He's got 7. Shohei and the rest of the crew have 3. Underappreciated, I could buy. Underrated, I will not.
That's the thing. That's kind of what I was talking about. Even if you gave guys the opportunity, which some organizations have done, they've given them opportunities to do both, at the professional level. Very quickly, guys are like, wow, it's too hard. I have to focus on one. I'm trying to make it to the big leagues. I got to focus on one. Like, that's just the bottom line. That's kind of what I was alluding to. It's just what he's doing is so difficult that you're totally right. You could want and maybe even have the skill set to do both, but to actually do it and make it to the big leagues, it ain't going to happen, Chris. It's not.
Right. I mean, we're having this amazing discussion with Travis Hunter, who's going to go top 5 in the NFL draft, and to see how much he can do wide receiver. and cornerback, which is different because, heck, this is the equivalent of playing quarterback and playing defensive end who gets double-digit sacks a year. It's the equivalent of being, one of the top goal scorers in the NHL while being the top goalie in the sport as well. And there's nothing equivalent in basketball because you have to play both ends of the floor. Been guys that have excelled at both ends at a time. But it's amazing. Once again, leave us comments on what you think. Underrated, underappreciated. I'm sure there are going to be a bunch of people who are like, you guys talk about Shohei every week. And right, we do, because we should.
Yes.
We should. And he's going to give us stuff to talk about again this year, which we cannot wait. All right, there's a reason I'm wearing a White Sox hat. Number one, I can't imagine there's too many times I'm going to have a chance to wear the White Sox lid this year. I'm going to go out on a limb again. Joey Gallo asked for and received his release from the Chicago White Sox. He went 2 for 20 this spring training. Now he's going to try his hand at pitching. Speaking of, well, he's not going to be a two-way player. He wants to pitch. And he put it out on social media, and people were like, is this a joke? Well, no, the assistant GM of the Chicago White Sox, Josh Barfield, said, no, he came to us, and he's talked about this, and so we granted him his release. Are you shocked?
I guess I'm shocked. I didn't see it coming, so that's a definition of shocked. I mean, he's had at points in his career like the best outfield arm, so he has the arm strength and I guess the velocity to go do this. I'm just curious to see, how long has he been thinking about this? Has he been on a mound, without telling people? Like, what off-speed pitches does he throw? I'm very curious with it all. So I'm happy for him. I got to do a spring training with Joey Gallo, and obviously played with him. Then he was with the Twins. So I've known him for quite some time. He's a good guy. Mm-hmm. Loves the sport of baseball, and I wish him the best. We've seen this happen as recently as Anthony Ghost did it.
Yeah, former Blue Jay, but he is the second now former
Matt Bush.
Outfielder, right? Matt Bush, although he never made the majors as a position player, he was the number 1 overall pick as a shortstop, but then had his missteps in his personal life and eventually worked his way back, which was great to see, and became a reliever in the show. Tyler Naquin just signed with the Cleveland Guardians. He was an outfielder on their 2016 World Series team and a former first-round pick. And actually,
he's pitching.
He's pitching and apparently hitting 97. But now he was gone from the game for a few years. The difference is that Gallo was on teams last year. And I don't know. To me,
there's other guys too. Wasn't Charlie Culberson doing that?
Yes, Charlie Culberson did do it. You know who just did it? Brett Phillips.
With their league team
last year. But there's a difference between chasing the dream and getting to the show. There's a huge learning curve that has to happen, and I hope it happens. He threw mid-90s at Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas. I know that. And he's obviously an enormous guy. It's just being able to figure out how to use your body the proper way to repeat your mechanics and all that sort of stuff. I suppose the bigger question is, how shocked are you that it was such a significant fall off for Joey Gallo?
I mean, he had some really good years. I saw those up close and personal when he was with the Rangers. I think, Joey, I don't want to call him a victim of pitching data, but I think he kind of was. He did a few things really well. Like, he could pull the ball in the air. That's what he liked to do. And then, I think the adjustability just wasn't there for him. He wanted to hit the ball in the air. He's always a big strikeout guy, but he also drew his walks. He was like the 3 outcome guy. And I just think that he got exposed a little bit, and he didn't have the adjustability, I guess, in his swing to kind of keep going. But he's had a heck of a career, man. It's nothing wrong with his career at all. But it did get exposed there kind of at the end.
Do you have any idea what his career batting average was?
Oh, I'm gonna go 235.
Would it shock you if I said it was 194?
Career batting average?
Is that ridiculous?
Is that true?
I mean, maybe I was in the middle of day drinking or something when I looked it up, but I'm
getting on it right now.
Yeah, let's get to it just to confirm it.
Career 194.
Is that amazing? He only hit higher than 210 twice.
I overshot that big time.
But so I thought about my buddy Carlos Pena, whom I worked with for a while at MLB Network, and he was a guy that was similar, right? He had a low batting average, but he could click you. He could be a 40 home run guy. And I was like, I wonder what Carlos hit in his career. It was 232. Like, that is a huge difference. I know that it's not about batting average, but
he had a 320 career on base percentage, though.
Which, considering what happened at the dish, is not horrible, right? To have a 320.
Exactly. For a 191 batting average and a 320 on base, like, you're drawing your walks.
Yeah. But man, I mean, he was fun to watch. And I thought that in 2019, that year where I think he had over 950 OPS, I was like, oh, he's about to take off. Because it took him a while to kind of get going, get his feet under him at this level. I was like, oh, this is going to be it. And it just, but even as little as a couple years ago, 2021, he was still a 4-WAR player.
Yeah, because he would gun guys out defensively. He's won a couple Gold Gloves. People don't really remember him as a good defensive outfielder, but he could throw people out. He actually was like, he played center for a little bit. Like,
good athlete.
Yeah.
For a guy his size. I remember one time we had him on the show, and I saw him in a dugout somewhere. He was playing in Texas, but we outed him as a New York Giants football fan. He was like, thanks for doing that to me. I can't go anywhere now in Dallas without hearing about that. I was like, it's okay, dude. You'll be fine. You're 6'6". Who's going to mess with you in Texas? It's fine.
That's really funny.
A question for you. Are you finding it difficult to find time for a complete balanced meal? That's where today's sponsor, Huel, spelled Huel, comes in handy. Huel is a global complete nutrition brand with over 500 million meals sold that you can find in GNC stores, on Amazon, or directly at Huel.com. The Black Edition ready to drink is a complete meal in a bottle. 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and it is low in sugar. Now, for those of us that do shows like this, mornings can be complete chaos. We're out the door. We don't have time to whip up a balanced meal, and that's where Huel Black Edition comes up clutch. Keeps us full, keeps us energized, focused, so we can tackle whatever the day throws at us. So join the community of Hooligans with this exclusive offer for new customers, 15% off plus a free gift with the code TODAY at Huel.com. Once again, that is 15% plus a free gift for new customers with the code TODAY at Huel.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel, nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. See the description for terms and conditions. And Huel up, as we like to say. All right, we're going to get back at it with some injury news. We'll deal with the bad stuff in a bit, but we deal with good things first. And it was great to see Milwaukee's Brandon Woodruff out there on Sunday. It was the first time he was on a Major League diamond since 2023. He's been bothered by a shoulder injury, went a scoreless frame against Cleveland, had a punch out as well. And guess what? He had the nerves working.
You know what? Heck, I was so daggone nervous when Corey, the umpire, checked my hands. I thought he was trying to shake my hand and, like, tell me good job. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm rattled right now. So then coming off seeing Freddie, seeing all my teammates was just it's a big deal, man.
That's actually a really funny story. He forgot what it was like to get his hands checked. It's good stuff right there.
Yeah, he's a really good dude. And I think, didn't he hit a home run as a lefty in the playoffs against Kershaw a bunch of years ago? I seem to remember that. He smoked one, I think.
I don't know. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think that was him, and maybe
attaboy.
I think it would have been 2018 or something. So big picture, Milwaukee is the defending champ, and you always like to say, kind of like the Rays are going to Ray, it's now become the Brewers are going to Brewer in the National League. I think that's whatever. I guess that's part of their DNA and who they are. But are you willing to say that they are the team to beat since they're the defending champs, or no?
I think so. I mean, especially if you got a guy like Brandon Woodruff coming back to that rotation. They won 93 games last year, Chris. And the reason I really like him is obviously they're an elite defensive team. They have a team identity. Like, they play defense and they get on base, 4th in OBP last year and 2nd in stolen bases. Like, they get on base and they wreak havoc. And now they have a young guy, Jackson Chourio, who was one of the best players in baseball towards the end of the year. I think they don't need homers to score runs because they can do it in so many different ways. But if they improve on that a little bit, I think they were middle of the bag last year. This offense, I think, is underrated. Like, I don't think people think of Milwaukee as like an offensive team. Go check the numbers last year. Christian Yelich is healthy, and we know what he looks like when he's healthy. He did it last year until the bat caught up to him. So I do like this team. I think that they're always going to find bullpen guys. I've been on the Craig Yoho train for quite some time. He's looking really good. They have guys at the back end there, and I think this rotation is better than people are going to give them credit for as well. So yeah, I'm picking them to win the Central for sure.
Well, we talked about the Quintana edition for less than $5 million and what a steal that was. He also made his Brewers debut on Sunday. So that's nice. They do have a couple of big guns that they got to replace yet again. It seems to happen every year, whether you trade a Corbin Burns or then a Devin Williams and you let Willie Adames walk to the Giants. So there are some holes that they have to fill. For me, out of the gate, I am worried about their starting pitching this first month, right? Even though Woodruff is coming back, we don't know how long it's going to take him. But Tobias Myers just came up with an oblique over the weekend. They don't think it's that bad, but we've talked about that. That can be a tricky injury. Hall, Ashby, already going to start the year on the injured list. So it's kind of like Peralta, Savali, Nestor, and then some question marks. And I know that you have your days off in April, fifth starter here and there, and Quintana will be ready before you know it. He's a veteran. He knows how to get his body right for April. But, it's a thin needle. It's a thin needle you're trying to thread there. So that worries me a little bit. And I don't know if I can look at that team and say they're better than the Cubs.
Okay. Clip this. I just think we always say that. We never give enough credit. But again, they find ways to win baseball games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are going to put the ball in play. They're going to get on base. They're going to catch the ball. They're going to run, prevent, all these things that they do well. They don't slump. That's the thing that I like about the Brewers. Like, your defense doesn't slump.
Right.
Your speed doesn't slump. Like, get on base, create havoc. And then again, a couple guys in the middle of the lineup can carry it. So I'm a big believer in kind of what they do.
Yeah, that's why I think the narrative that the Brewers are going to brewer is lazy. They do what they do.
Yes.
They have, right? They stick to it. We don't all have to love it. I think it's kind of fun. I think they're a great.
I love the way the athleticism on that team is incredible.
Me too. And I think people just sometimes dismiss them because they're in such a tiny market. They're like, oh, they're the cute little Brewers. If they have a great year, great. If not, whatever. Well, let's remember, they were 3 outs away from eliminating the Mets and moving on.
One pitch away.
Yeah.
It was 2 outs, wasn't it?
I
think it was 3-2, 2 outs, wasn't it?
I think you're right. I think you're right. You're right. I think you're right. All right, some other injury news. Start with the good stuff. Spencer Strider expected to start for Atlanta on Monday. That's good. They're hopeful that he will join them early on in the season. Clark Schmidt, bad news for the Yankees, who already obviously have a ton of injury issues in the pitching rotation. His start is being skipped. He's got a little bit of a shoulder injury. But really, really perhaps bad news for a former number 1.
Because a lot of the specialized work that the hitters do.
It's a fair ball, playing well behind third, long throw, and a nice scoop.
Hold on, I'm going to have to drop off, guys.
For those of you that are audio only, that was Royce Lewis trying to leg it out down the line. Injured his hamstring, and Rocco Baldelli, the Twins skipper, was on headset during that. He's like, I got to go, boys. See ya. Sorry about it. You're our Twins insider. You have anything on this?
I asked right when it happened if it was something different, or it looked like his hammy. So they said, yeah, it was his hammy. He's going for an MRI today. The severity of it, that's in question. The more severe it is, the longer he's going to be out. So it's difficult. He's a guy who's battled injuries. He's doesn't like to be labeled as injury prone, but that's what he's had to deal with so far. And I think hoping for the best. I hope it's like a grade 1 hammy, and he's out for 2 weeks, and he misses a little bit of the time, and hopefully he takes that full, whatever it is. This is my advice to Royce. Whatever your severity is, take the full time to get the dang thing right. When you try to rush it, it just continues to happen with that soft tissue stuff. So it's disheartening, man, because we know the type of player he can be when he's on the field. Like, he's shown it. Although he did struggle a little bit at the end of last year, he was going to be a big reason why I think the Twins are going to surprise a lot of people this year. And it's tough to watch. It's tough to watch that video, man.
Okay. So he was on the Rose rotation right before last season started. And we talked about it. Remember, he had like back-to-back ACLs, one where he ran into the tarp, I think, chasing after a ball. And so we talked about being labeled as injury prone. He gave a fascinating answer.
I'm ready to get the media monkey off my back where everyone likes to label people. And I feel like they're starting to label me as like an injury guy. And that's just, when you have a freak injury, I don't know how you do that, but that's okay with me. So I'm just excited to play as much as I can and be available for Rocco and the staff. And it starts with opening day. So that's why I'm excited.
Does that piss you off that you're labeled that way?
I think more so for other guys, because it's like, do you think they want to get hurt? Ideally, no. I feel like since I've come back from those ACLs, I've been feeling great, and it's only been progressively getting better. So the label doesn't make me mad. It just is silly to me. I always just laugh. Like, why don't you try running into a wall at 28 miles an hour and see what happens? You know what I mean?
I'll pass. Thank you, Royce.
Does he run 28 miles an hour? That's pretty good, Royce.
I know. That's really cooking into a wall.
There is a difference to his point. Like, yeah, if you I got hit and broke my rib from a fastball. That's nothing to do with anything that I've done. And there are some injuries that are not injury-prone injuries. So I know what he's talking about. And again, yeah, it's like his mindset, Chris. He's got one of those mindsets like he's the best, and he's humble about it. But he has that confidence, man. That's why he talks the way he talks. I love it. I think he's a great person. I think he's going to be really good for the game. Want to see him on the field.
Well, you have to see him on the field. He's a little inaccurate from this standpoint. He started the 2023 season on the 60-day injured list because he was coming off yet another knee injury. It wasn't so then he also had IL stints for a strained left oblique and a left hamstring strain. And then last year he only played 82 games because he had a strained right quad and a right adductor strain. Strain.
No.
That's the problem. That's where the injury label, fair or unfair, is going to come in. He has now been with the big league team for 3 seasons, and he hasn't been up and down because of his play. It's been because of health. He hasn't even put together a full season's worth of games. He's played 152 games, Plouffe, in his career. And at some point, the Twins are going to be like, we want to pencil you in as our third baseman, but this is tough.
Yeah, soft tissue stuff is very difficult. I dealt with it a lot in my career. And I don't know if some guys are just predisposed to that. Like, I feel like I might have been. And I don't know what that means, if my muscles were a certain way or, I tried to stay hydrated as could be. I tried to stretch and do all those things. It just, I don't know. I dealt with it a lot, and it is so, so frustrating. Yeah, so I really don't have advice for him. I'm not the right one to give him advice because I dealt with it too.
You gave him good advice, which is take your time. But
take your time.
First of all, with a team that battled injuries last year, that is already dealing with it, particularly in the bullpen this season so far. And yes, you consider them a team, but I think other people look at the other 3 teams ahead of them in the Central last year in Cleveland, Kansas City, and Detroit, all teams that made the playoffs. And people are like, they're cute. And the Twins are like, well, do you spend any money?
That's been the narrative.
Do your biggest players really play? Like, this is something that you want to rush back for your teammates. You want to be there for your guys. And that is the exact opposite of what needs to happen with him.
Yeah, I think on rosters, on paper, I think the Twins have the most complete roster in the American League Central. Obviously, you have to play the games, and there can be some regression, and there can be some guys that just come out of nowhere and change that viewpoint at the end of the year. But yeah, as a Twins fan, it's tough. You want to see what that complete squad can look like, because I think they've done a good job acquiring talent and putting together a roster, like I said, but they just really haven't been on the field together. And
you don't want him to be a 25-year-old DH.
Yeah, because it's also Correa has dealt with injuries, Buxton has dealt with injuries. So those 3 guys together, I mean, it's been very few and far between those games played.
That's the core of their team right there. I mean, those are the
Matt Wallner. Watch out for Matt Wallner, though.
Okay, I get it, but you understand what I'm saying. Those are the dudes. Those are draft pick 1, and draft pick 2 in drafts. That's a lot of talent on the same field. We wish him well. Get back, dude, but take your time. I know that's oxymoronic, but do it anyway. Excuse me. Spring Breakout 2 is come and gone. Lots of great talent out there on the field. The game is in good hands when it comes to the talent. Some of them will be up this year. Some we won't see for a few years. No one was more interesting than Seattle's right/left-hander. He was their first-round pick last year, Durangelo Senja. He struck out Guardians while throwing heat from both sides of the dish on Friday night. I was obviously watching the game. It was incredible to see. How big a story would it be if he could take off at this level? We have had guys that have been ambidextrous on the mound, but they haven't been flamethrowers and guys who have really become stars. How big a story would this be?
I think it would be a big story. Like, that's a very marketable trait that he has. I think he'd be someone that's getting a lot of brand deals. And if he has the success on the field, similar to like how we talk about how difficult it is for Shohei to do two things. I had a coach, shout out Joe Varvra. He was a hitting coach for the Twins. Yeah, Joe Varvra. A roving guy when I first came in, and he challenged guys to throw right and left. Like, so I tried it. Like, my first year of pro, I'm like, okay, I've never heard this, by the way. Started throwing righty, then you'd warm up lefty and try to do that. It's impossible. Like, nobody could do it. He could do it, which was really cool. But it's just very difficult to even attempt that. But to be good and, like you said, kind of throw cheese from both sides it's kind of unheard of. I love it. I think it's really cool.
Okay, what was the point? What was Coach trying to teach you?
I think he just wanted, like, it was like his thing. I don't know if it was like he wanted you to be an athlete. He wanted you to take left-handed swings as well, which a lot of guys do nowadays because you want to counteract all the swings you take righty. Okay, let's do some lefty. So you're going to see that with guys on the on-deck circle a lot. And maybe that's what his thinking. I don't know. It's incredibly difficult. I challenge anybody. I'm sure people have done this already, but go play catch with your opposite hand and just see how silly you look.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
I throw the ball so poorly, people did think I was left-handed. So,
hey, Chris, maybe try this way.
Yeah, exactly. It was incredible to watch him.
Yeah,
I mean, he was dotting stuff. He's more of a power pitcher, like high power pitcher from the right side at this point. But they talked about they had the Mariners, the director of personnel or whatever, talk about the fact that there is no blueprint for this kid, and they're kind of learning it together. So it's very important to keep the lines of communication to see how you're feeling on a given day. What do you got stinky face for?
I'm just thinking about, like, can he pitch every day? Like, if he just said, I'm going to throw righty today, lefty tomorrow, righty the next day, lefty the following day. I know he wants to go and keep the platoon advantage, but like, that's a way you could throw every day, right? I think.
I don't know if you could, man.
I don't know either.
I think it's going to be fascinating. See, the first time I ever heard about it was this guy who pitched in the 80s, a guy named Gene Harris. And he was a dude who would change and throw lefty and righty. And he didn't throw hard at all. And then you went against Pat Venditti of the A's.
Yep.
And I had a chance to meet Venditti and saw his glove and the whole bit. Like, it's a little freak show-ish. He's not Antonio Alfonseca with six fingers literally on his hand, but he had a 6-finger glove. So it was cool, kind of bizarre, but
it is a little freak show-ish. That's fine. In a good way, in the best way possible.
Yeah. I remember Pablo Sandoval. I never saw him do it, but everybody always said how good his arm was from the left side, that he could throw it, zing it.
That's
crazy.
I mean, it's just something you have to grow up doing or spend a ton of time.
I think it'd be a huge story.
I can't dribble with my left hand. I mean, I can, but barely.
That was the thing that the director of personnel said for the Mariners. He goes, "Listen, guys, I have trouble brushing my teeth left-handed. I'm not so sure I could throw a baseball."
Try using chopsticks with your left hand, or exactly. Yeah, like, there's so many things that you can't even do with the opposite hand. And think about what he's doing on the mound. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was a first-round pick, by the way.
He was first round. I think he went 15th overall out of Mississippi State. So I think it's a big deal. I'm excited to see him, and who knows what year we'll see him. But kid throws gas from both sides. It's pretty impressive. Really fun. Go dig up the highlights if you haven't had a chance to check it out. All right, we're going to be back at it again because the Major League Baseball season starts on Tuesday, and we cannot wait. First pitch, I think 6 a.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. Pacific. I don't know if I'll be up at 3 a.m., but I'll be up and we'll have watched the whole game by the time this show comes out. So make sure you tune in to our first regular season edition of Baseball Today. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, our amazing intern, Sawyer, that is the uber-talented, if not ambidextrous, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Tuesday here on Baseball Today.